Good morning. Welcome to Holy Trinity. Since this is a 7th grade group, this is a new experience for all of you. So look around the room, and these are the ones that you will share this experience with. And we're hoping that these become friends for life. So let's go through this journey together. Let me start by saying I'm Dr. Cobb, Catherine Cobb. I'm the president of Holy Trinity. And I have the privilege of working with some wonderful faculty and staff, many of whom you'll get to see on the screen today, and over the next year we'll get to meet. I want to thank you for entrusting your child to us, child or children. Some of you have more than one. We don't take that task lightly. And the way we see this task that you've just entrusted to us is that we walk hand in hand with you in a partnership. And so it is our job to make sure that while your child or children are on this campus, that they thrive and that we provide them with the tools necessary to open up many doors and create many opportunities for them when they leave the halls of Holy Trinity. But we do this side by side with you. We think that is an honor and a privilege, and we are very grateful that we are on this journey together. It's now my privilege to introduce our brand new chaplain, Mr. Timothy Rutherford, and he will be opening us in prayer. Timothy?
So in the Episcopal Church, we have a tradition of being interactive. Now, this is not like I'm wanting you to stand up, jump around, we're not going to do the piece. But when we open in prayer, we'll say, "The Lord be with you," and then the response is, "and also with you." So, the Lord be with you. Let us pray. God, thank you so much for energy, for 7th graders, for new smells and new ways of being, for all the excitement, the nerves, the tension. Please be with each one of our 7th graders today as they are exploring this new campus, as they're anticipating Wednesday, as they're looking forward to a school year where they will be blessed with new knowledge and ways of doing things that they've never known before. Please watch over them day to day and be with us in our hearts and our minds as we send our children off in a new adventure. In your name we pray. Amen. Like she said, I am also brand new to the school, so I'm sorry I don't know any of your names yet. I will be working on it, and I will be in car line, which will help me be able to identify at least what car a kid goes in, and then eventually a name of a parent to go along with that car to go along with the kid. I'll be teaching ethics, so I won't have any of your kids this year as far as classes go, but I am looking forward to the point where I get to do that. They will be with me in chapel on Wednesdays, and I am going to be trying to make sure that it is something that's just as fun for a 7th grader as it is for a 12th grader. So pray for me, please. Thank you very much. And then this is our junior high principal, our head of school, Miss Uzier.
Thanks. I do want to let you know you're doing chapel Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Oh, yeah, I totally knew that.
You made me a little nervous there. Yes, this Wednesday he will be doing chapel. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys coming up. And yes, I'm Melissa Uzier. I'll tell you a little bit of myself in a moment. But one other school-wide person we wanted to introduce you to. He couldn't make it to introduce himself, but Vincent Martin, you'll see his name up there. He is our director of athletic performance, and he is really wanting to get your students engaged in our athletic center down the way. And it doesn't matter whether or not your student's an athlete here at Holy Trinity or just wants to learn how to function in the gym. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about PE and all of that type of stuff, but Vincent Martins has been sending out some announcements in the Friday emails and is putting together a specific junior high program, so I kind of wanted to just point him out really quickly since he couldn't make it today. But welcome. How are you guys? Are you ready? Maybe? Getting there? Okay, all right, we'll get there. I feel like the same way as a parent. I feel you, is what I mean. But like Chaplain Rutherford said, my name is Melissa Uzier. I am the head of the junior high school, which is basically like the principal. So I'll be working with y'all over the next 2 years. And this is going to sound really cheesy, and I apologize, but there's really no better cliche to use in this circumstance. But everybody I'm about to talk about, whether it's our administrative team or our faculty, we're here to work with y'all, and we have to work as a team. There's the cliche, kind of cheesy part, okay? But it's true, right? You guys are kind of, going through this junior high experience with your children, right? We're going through the junior high experience with your children. But the more we work together and the more y'all know who to talk to for what and when and all of those things, the smoother this is going to be for everybody involved. Okay, so you're going to hear me say that a lot. We are here to work together with you so that your Holy Trinity experience and their educational experience in the next 2 years is going to be top notch, and they're going to be ready for high school, because that's our job, right? Our job in the junior high is to help create, work with you to create good human beings, right? That's always a good thing and a goal, but also we want them to be prepared for high school so that when they walk into 9th grade and it counts, they're more than ready, okay? But it's going to take all of us to make that happen, okay? So I'm Melissa Uzier. This is my 20th year at Holy Trinity. I started very young. You'll hear me say that a lot. But 20th year at Holy Trinity, and I work with some amazing people. Mr. Wilson is our academic advisor, so if you have any academic questions, any schedule changes that your kid wants to make after seeing everybody else today, you can chat with him. He is also a school counselor, so if there is ever, any concerns that your kid's coming home with, or anything that you're concerned about, you can talk to him, and you can also talk to Mrs. Carrie Ramos, who is our school-wide counselor. She works with students 7 through 12. Okay, and sometimes kids make a connection with one person over another, or they're talking to both. Both are excellent resources. And you can also send them to me, and I'll get them to the right person, or you can contact me, and we can all make that work. But Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Ramos work really closely together on that social emotional side, and then Mr. Wilson for the academics. We also have Stephanie Pedicini. She's our director of upper school academics, and she helps to ensure that the transition from 7 through 12 is seamless. Okay, that it's logical that you're taking physical science in 8th grade and life science in 7th grade, so that when you get to high school, you have a baseline for biology, and you have a baseline for chemistry, and you have a baseline for physics. Okay, she kind of helps work with our teachers and the heads of schools to kind of make sure that that progression is logical and makes sense and prepares you for that next step. Okay, we also have Chaplain Rutherford, who you just met. We are so excited to have a full-time chaplain who is going to be doing Chapel Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay, and we're so excited to have him on campus, and he's also a great resource for you and a great resource for your students. Coach Henderson. Okay, he's one that's definitely part of this team. You just probably don't want to get to know him too well unless your kid plays basketball, because he is the dean of students, which means he does a lot of our discipline. Okay, so you really, again, nice guy. You'll want to meet him. You'll want to say hello. You just don't want to get phone calls from him. Okay, but he is definitely part of our junior high team, and we all work together to help ensure that your kids are having a great experience. What I want to do next is introduce you to all of our teachers. So right now, your students are back doing that on their own, which is a really good skill for them. Okay, for them to have that interaction with their teachers, meeting all of their teachers, but I also want you guys to see their faces. And I'm encouraging you that when we're done here, okay, and I'll try to go through as fast as I can with all this nuts and bolts stuff, but when you're done here, go introduce yourself. Okay, and we're also going to have a back to school night, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, that you'll have some time to really meet them. But it's good to kind of put the name to the face and kind of see who your kids are having. There are 8th grade teachers up on the screen as well, but I think that's a really valuable thing for you guys to kind of see the big picture of what we're talking about with our junior high faculty. And our junior high faculty, by the way, is amazing. They are dedicated to working with your students, and they are very student-centered and student-driven, okay? They're here for their success and for their development. So I'm very excited about them. The first one is, I'm going to do it by department, but Mrs. Christophe, she actually did our sub-coordinating things last year, okay? So she did everything substitute related. But she always wanted to be back in the classroom. She had taught in the past and then went back to school. She actually has a master's, I believe, in creative writing, which I'm really excited about. But she's teaching one section of 7th grade English and one section of 8th grade English. So there's a chance that your student will have her if you see her name. But very, very excited, and she's also a parent, so she kind of gets it. Okay. We also have Mrs. Givens. She's the other 7th grade English teacher. She's been here for a long time. She's been part of the Holy Trinity Junior High faculty for over 10 years. And she's phenomenal. She's really, really good at working with all levels of English interest and also English skill. Okay, so if your kid's the tippy top amazing, reads, 5 books a week, all right, she's great for them. And if your kid's the one like mine who's like, a book? What's that? And why would I do anything with it? She's good for them too. Okay, they're working together to really instill, first of all, a basic knowledge of English, but also a joy around the subject. Okay, she's very, very good at that. She also does some of our creative writing clubs and some of our junior high specific clubs as well. You've got Mrs. McDonald. She's going to be teaching our speech and debate class this year. And one of the things I'm really excited about is this is a specific class for junior high students. It can be intimidating for a 7th grader to get up and learn how to do Lincoln Douglas debates with a senior in the classroom, right? Or even we have a club, speech and debate club. All right, it can be intimidating. And so this is a great opportunity for students who are interested in this type of thing to check it out. And she also is working with our speech and debate club to kind of connect the two, that if a kid's like jamming I love this class, they can also participate at the club level. But Mrs. McDonald's been teaching in our high school English department. She's the department chair, but she has extensive research working with junior high students as she spent a good chunk of her career at Johnson Junior High. Mrs. Perchnick, she teaches our 8th grade English, so you'll probably see her more in the future. But our teams in the junior high work a lot together, so your student may reference Miss Perchnick here or there. So again, wanted you to see the future. Okay, Mr. Angotti teaches 8th grade physical science, and he is new to our campus as of last year, so this will be his 2nd year, but he is phenomenal, okay? He is one of the people that always has a smile on campus, and so, I would encourage your kids to try to meet as many people as possible. He might be the first one that you'll say, hey, have you met Mr. Angotti? Because he's so not scary. Right? Even for a 7th grader, right? He's going to engage and the kids are going to love him. Okay. Mrs. Bailey, some of your students may have her this year. She is part of developing our overall engineering program at Holy Trinity. Okay. So for 7th graders, they take design, engineering, and programming. And she also teaches our introduction to engineering, and we've added another class to that for the high school this year. And then 8th graders usually take robotics. But she's kind of developing this program and has a ton of knowledge. She used to be an engineer herself, and that design, engineering, and programming is awesome. Okay, one of I believe it's their midterm exam is creating Christmas cards. Okay, digital Christmas cards that some people have used as their own family Christmas card. And I can't decide, is that because the card was good or because the mom or dad forgot to do their Christmas cards. But either way, you got to back up if you have a kid in that class. Okay, and then we've got Mr. Bowden. He teaches our 8th grade physical science advanced as well as robotics. But if your student has any kind of interest in our robotics team, okay, he's in charge of the robotics team. And he gives 150% to that organization. Okay, they do competitions, and what I love about it is that we have a lot of upperclassmen that are also involved that mentor the younger students. Okay, and it was the same for them when they were in junior high. So it's kind of this neat progression and an opportunity to meet those older kids, but in a kind of mentorship way. They actually, over the summer, spent a lot of time going down to an organization in Fellsmere and developing like a camp, an engineering camp for a lot of the migrant students that are down there. Okay, so they're active and engaged, and it's more than just robotics. Okay, you also have Miss Nikolic. I'm so excited about her. She is brand new to the school this year. Your students, if they went to Junior High 101, may have met her. She worked with Mrs. DeRozier in one of our sessions, and she's phenomenal. So I'm very excited for your students to have the opportunity to meet her and have her for the life science class. All right, Mr. Dowling is another one your students likely will have. He teaches our seventh grade world geography. He's been at Holy Trinity, another one, for a really long time. And he also teaches an American military history class, which I'm a history nerd, and I actually used to teach that class. So I walk into his classroom regularly. I'm like, what are you covering? What are you doing? So he's a great resource. But we also have Mrs. Petrosky, who's also going to be teaching a section of the seventh grade world geography as well. Since Mr. Dowling is teaching the military, she's going to take that other section. She's new to Holy Trinity this year, but she has an extensive resume, having taught at a lot of other schools and taught, a similar class before. And her sister actually graduated from Holy Trinity, and I taught her. All right, and then Mr. Quinn, you'll see him next year. He's another one I bother about my history nerd stuff. And then we get to math, which I don't share a lot of conversation about math with these teachers because I'm not very good at it. But Mrs. Malevich is our pre-algebra and our pre-algebra advanced teacher. She is an amazing resource for your students. She does a lot of really cool stuff that's beyond just the textbook. Okay, so if your kids come home and they say, hey, I was playing cards in math today, they were, and it was for a reason. Okay, that red is positive, black is negative, add them up. They do a lot of things like that. So she's very interactive and a lot of fun. And then Mrs. Grubka, if your student has Algebra 1 honors, they're in for a treat. Mrs. Grubka has been an institution in Brevard County schools for decades. She is very, very good. And we often have students that their dad or their mom had her over at Hoover. And we were lucky enough to snag her up a couple of years ago. So now she's part of our faculty. And she is top notch. She works a lot with our pre-algebra teacher, Mrs. Malevich, and then the other algebra teacher, Mrs. Karp, as well as our geometry teachers, as they eat lunch almost every day together, which is great because they're often talking curriculum. Okay, and they're just like, okay, well, have you tried this? Are you doing that? And that's, to me, amazing, and it shows you that they love what they do, right? That they're even doing it during lunch. Miss Milliken, y'all students won't necessarily have her, but I wanted to introduce her since she is one of our new teachers. She also has been around Brevard County for a really long time. She moved to D.C. About 10, 15 years ago, but is now coming back. And so, again, we were really, really lucky to get her as part of our math department. Okay, and then Mrs. Welch teaches geometry honors, which again is probably a little bit more in the future for y'all, but she's been here for, oh my gosh, almost 25 or just at 25 years. Okay, so she's had 2 kids come through Holy Trinity, and again is another resource in that department. For world languages, we've got French, we've got Spanish, and we've got Latin, and they're in alphabetical order, not by subject. So Miss Alvarez teaches our Spanish 1 class. She also teaches Spanish 4. But the cool thing about the Spanish 1 class is that it's very experiential. Okay, it is not based on, hey, learn these 20 vocab words this week. Okay, and this verb and how to conjugate it. Right? You're going to be learning that, but it's more in a conversational environment, okay? In an experiential environment. We're going to put you in a story, and you're going to learn the language through these stories and through these conversations. And she's very, very excited about this curriculum, so it's fun to watch her teach. Okay, we've got Dr. Barry, who you guys probably know in a different context. Okay, she is our junior high admissions specialist, but this year we've also snapped her up to be able to teach a section of French 1, primarily to the younger kids. Okay, and Mr. Mize, he teaches our Latin 1 and our Latin 2. He is also has led the Holy Trinity team to multiple state championships in the Latin competitions. Okay, when they get to their state competition, they've also taken a group to the national competition 2 years ago. I think it was like in Montana or something like that. So this is a program that's been around at Holy Trinity for a long time, and he really advocates for these students. It's not just a language that you're taking in the class. We're going to do more. Right? And so they do competitions and the whole 9 yards. Mrs. Moniz is our Spanish 2 teacher. So again, you're looking a little bit further on, but she and Mrs. Alvarez work really closely together to create that experiential Spanish curriculum through Spanish 2. And then when you get to Spanish 3, you're doing a little bit more of that traditional curriculum, but you've had that baseline in conversation and all of that. Okay, Miss Sakra, who is related to Dr. Barry, is the other French teacher, which in my mind does a lot of good for us with regards to collaboration between the teachers, given the fact that they're related. Okay, so she teaches a couple sections of French 1 as well, and they will be working together very closely. And then getting into fine arts. Our fine arts program for junior high students is bar none amazing. Okay, Miss Barnett teaches our acting classes. There's 3 sections of acting this year, and they put on a junior high show every year. Last year was a musical, and it was amazing. Even if your kid is not in the acting class, I would highly recommend when you find out whatever day that is in the spring, okay, make time to go. It blows my mind every year. I'm like, how? Wow, that was, I'm smiling like a goofy, goon the whole time because it's just so cool that they get to put on their very own production every year. So highly recommend it, even if your child is not in acting, and if they are in acting, you guys got lucky with Miss Barnett. She's amazing. Miss Garino teaches our art survey and our art survey advanced, and this is more the visual arts, okay? So what she does is it's a survey class. They learn about pretty much all types of art along with some art history. So they'll do a little bit of 2D art, the drawing and the painting. They'll do a little bit of 3D art with ceramics. They'll do graphic design, okay? The junior high t-shirts that your students will come home with, okay, in a couple of weeks that you guys put the order in for. It was designed by our students in this class, okay? And then our AP graphic design students picked the winner. Okay, so it's real life application, kind of cool stuff. But the benefit of that is if your kid is wanting to pursue visual arts, when they get to 9th grade and they have to kind of pick, they're like, oh, I really like the drawing and painting. That's the route I'm going to go. Or I really like that 3D art, so I'm going to take pottery. Or I'm going to go towards the graphic design. But they have that baseline of experience to kind of figure out what they want to do. You also have Mr. Stevens. He joined us last year. He's our band director. And we have a beginning band all the way up to advanced band. And our students also participate in the pep band. So if you're at a football game and you hear the national anthem, you hear the fight song, you hear our alma mater, all by our Holy Trinity band students. So this is a really strong, growing program. And he and Mr. Slauson work really well together. Mr. Stevens takes care primarily of the instrument piece, okay, your saxophones, your flutes, and all of that, whereas Mr. Slauson deals with the percussion. Okay, so the first year, your kids will be with Mr. Stevens kind of learning about band and what do I like and what am I interested in. And then the following year, they can kind of either shift into full-time band depending on the instrument they want, or they're shifting into percussion because they like to hit stuff. Okay, but what's cool about Mr. Slauson is that he's actually a professional musician. Okay, he writes a lot of the songs that we perform at our shows, this is another thing. Our concerts for band and percussion are usually together, and then also for choir and orchestra, they're amazing. The Christmas concert, every time. I don't cry, but I almost always cry at that one. And sometimes it's because it's funny. They're doing funny songs, and other times I'm just like, look at them up there. They're so amazing. Okay, I know, junior high band, not expecting much, I'm sure, but you'll be surprised. Okay, and then we have Lori Waycaster, who kind of rounds out our performing arts with choir and orchestra. And again, a lot of that, there's the beginning class all the way to the advanced class, okay? And you may not have ever known that your child was going to become an amazing cello player until they're in that class, and it's exciting. So great department, a lot of fun. And then our PE department is our final department to go through. Our PE department this year is being completely revitalized, and we're changing our direction and our focus. Instead of just being PE, which is great, right? Just going out running around, this is what 7th and 8th graders need, okay? PE every day. But we're trying to be a little bit more intentional with our curriculum. Okay, so we're not just going to go play kickball, right? We are going to do some of that, but there's also going to be this dedication to physical literacy, okay, as well as health literacy. Okay, and the idea is we're going to learn all of these things as a practical application to your life beyond PE at Holy Trinity. Okay, so we're going to get them engaged with Mr. Martins down at the Tiger Athletic Complex, get them into the weight room a little bit, so you can learn how to properly do a squat, right? And that's great, right? To know how to do a squat, that's perfect, right? But it's going to be good when you're moving forward and then you're joining a gym on your own and all of that kind of stuff when you're an adult and you're no longer maybe playing a sport. This is going to be the idea and that focus on lifelong physical health. Okay, that's kind of our new focus. And Mr. Clark is going to be teaching one section of our 8th grade, and he's also the department chair. And then we've got Mr. Gibson, who's going to be teaching y'all's students. I am so excited. Mr. Gibson actually graduated from Holy Trinity. Okay, I taught him as well. Again, I started very young, but anyway, he is tons and tons and tons of energy. He helped our PE department out a lot last year and works as our basketball coach as well, our women's basketball coach. So he's great with the kids. He knows what he's doing, and he's working with a great team, which is rounded out by Mr. Wolfrath, who is new to Holy Trinity and is teaching the rest of our 8th grade PE program. Okay, there's 2 more people I want to introduce you to, and then we'll kind of get to the details. So we ask a lot of your students, right? And it can be a weird transition going from elementary school, okay, which is like kids, right, into junior high school, right, where they're like teenagers. Okay, there could be a lot of changes, but we're going to ask them a lot of. We're going to ask a lot of them. Okay, and I told them at Junior High 101, I was like, y'all are going to get a little bit more freedom than you've ever had, because in elementary school, the rules for 6th graders are the same rules for the kindergartners, right? But it doesn't feel right by 6th grade. So now we're going to give them a lot more freedom. You can eat lunch wherever you'd like. We're there, by the way, don't worry. Okay, but you can eat lunch where you'd like. You know, you're going to be able to create your own schedule and your own organizational systems, but we're not going to just drop you in the middle of nowhere and expect you to survive on your own. Okay, during the junior high years, we do have a lot of resources that are available to these students. Okay, and the amazing resources are our coaches. So Mrs. Roach is our organizational coach, and she's also really great with test prep and helping to manage test anxiety. So if you've got this kid who's an amazing student, that doesn't mean that this coach can't help them out sometimes, because they're like, I know everything, but I don't know how I'm going to know everything because I'm really nervous about this test, and what if I answer the wrong thing because I know everything, but I'm not sure I'm going to know everything when the test comes. Okay, y'all have been there, right? Okay, Mrs. Roach can provide really great strategies for managing that anxiety as well as organizing for success. Okay, and she works really closely with Mrs. Grant, who is our math coach, and she does everything math related. And again, it's not just because you're struggling. It could be that you want a little bit of extra help reviewing on a concept. Okay, both of these women participate in something that we're calling the Success Center. Okay, 2 days a week, Mrs. Grant will be available after school in the Success Center, and we'll send out more information on this. And she's going to be there and available for math help. And then on Wednesdays, Mrs. Roach is going to stay after school and be part of our Success Center for helping with those organizational skills and with, hey, I'm not really sure how to use my planner, or the planner that you gave me doesn't work. What do you suggest trying? Okay, and it's not like they have to take their PE class to do it. Right? They can come after school. So that'll be available Tuesday, Thursday for math help, and then organizational help on Wednesdays. And again, we'll send you more information on that, but I'm really excited. So that's our faculty. Okay, they're pretty amazing. But I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about kind of like the specific details of getting ready for starting school on Wednesday. And I put our honor code up because I wanted y'all to read that. Every one of your students will be signing the honor code this year, okay, as they get to the upper school. Because the upper school honor code is slightly different than, if you were at the lower school, what they did down there. So every single 7th grade will be signing the honor code. And this is an area where partnership is really important. What sometimes happens is as they get into the older grades, right? They've got a lot of homework and they might not have had that before, and they haven't figured out their time management and they haven't figured out their organizational skills. Sometimes they take shortcuts. Okay, and it's not always because they're like, I'm going to cheat. It's not quite like that. It's like, I have to figure out a way to make this work. Okay, but we're trying to teach them how to make it work in a good way. Remember I told you we're trying to help y'all create good humans and put good humans out into the world? This is really important to us. Okay, and so if your kid's getting stressed out and getting kind of worked up, remind them, that there's this honor code, and if they're starting to text their friends and you see pictures of homework and things like that, okay, first of all, okay, have the conversation. You might initially, what are you doing? Are you cheating? What are you doing? I can't believe you're doing that. Okay, good opportunity to have the conversation and talk about what the honor code means. Okay, and so this is going to be a big push for us this year, is really focusing, and this is for school-wide, focusing on this honor code as more than something you just kind of do, right? More than something you just signed and then forget about it when you're stressed out and, trying to figure out ways to get this done and this done and that done. Okay, most of the time it's not out of, nefarious intent. It's literally, they just are so overwhelmed they're not sure what it means. Okay, and what they're doing. So we just kind of ask for your cooperation, and you're kind of, working with us when you're having conversations with your kid, reminding them that, junior high, it's okay. If you didn't finish that homework assignment because you had a soccer game and then you also did this and you also did that, maybe we need to just not turn it in and you get a 0, but hang on. Let's talk about how not to be in this position in the future. And it's going to be okay, right? Remember, 7th grade doesn't always, quote unquote, count in the context of seeing it on their high school transcripts. It counts because it's important, right? But they have some room to figure it out in junior high, and that's what we want to encourage them to do, and to do it in a positive way. Okay, so a couple of dates. By the way, I am going to email you this presentation. Okay, so, if you want to write it down because you're like me and you'll never remember unless you write it down, go for it. But I'm also emailing this to you. So if you're like, okay, I don't have paper, you're good. But these are some important dates. I mentioned our back to school night. That's on August 25th, so that's coming up soon. That's going to be an opportunity to really get to meet your students' teachers and dig into their curriculum a little bit. We're going to have more details about where to go, what time, and all, but we wanted to make sure that that date was on your calendar so that you didn't plan, family dinners or whatnot, because I would highly recommend y'all coming in. You'll have a brief time to meet with your children's teachers after this, but this is a great time to really find out more about the curriculum and what they're doing. Also, October 12th is our junior high retreat, and the reason I mention this is because it is a half day. Students will be dismissed at 11:30, and then students don't have school on Thursday, Friday. So some people like to try to, hey, you know what, we're just going to take Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But I would encourage you to have your student come. We do a lot of fun stuff. We'll be working with Chaplain Timothy for a little bit of that particular retreat. But we do have parent conferences that afternoon and the following day. Okay, so just kind of putting that, it's on the school-wide calendar, but just kind of wanted to bring it up. Another one that's on the school-wide calendar that I do want to mention is the PSAT 8-9. We chose the PSAT 8-9 a couple of years ago for continuity's purposes. Okay, all 9th, 10th, and 11th graders take the PSAT when they get to high school, the real PSAT that's designed for 11th graders. Okay, well, we decided we were going to piggyback onto that. We wanted to do some standardized testing to measure progress. Okay, and so we chose to do the PSAT 8-9 because that's a great progression into the PSAT. So by the time they're taking their SAT, the real thing, in junior and senior year, they've had a lot of exposure to what College Board questions look like and how it feels. Okay, but we also want to give the junior high students as much time as possible to gain knowledge and understanding of different concepts. Okay, and so that's why the high schoolers do the PSAT in October. We wait until March. Okay, but I'm bringing that date up because it is the Friday before spring break, and it's a half day for the junior high. So again, it's tempting to start spring break on Thursday. Totally understand, but if you want that participation and to measure that progress, okay, from one grade to the next, this is a really good opportunity. Okay, even in 8th grade moving into the 9th grade, you'll see that progression from the PSAT 8-9 to the real PSAT and all of that. Okay, the next one I am beyond excited about because we are going to be doing a junior high trip this year. Okay, we have not been able to do one for a couple of years, and some of it's been COVID, some of it's been, the trips that we were doing and having some experiences. But this year we're bringing it back. So we're taking the entire junior high to the Circle F Ranch in Lake Wales. And the 7th and 8th graders will be split. Okay, there's 2 sides of camp. And I'll be sending a ton more information to you about this as we move through the semester. But wanted to put this on your calendar. And it is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, so I'm not taking your weekend, all as well. Okay, so it is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I am ridiculously excited about it. Also, to note, paid out of uniform. Okay, the days are listed, and I would put those on your calendar, friends. Put them, you don't want to be the parent that forgets. Put the dates on your calendar, but also note that there should be a form in on campus. So when you log in on campus, at the very top, it's like, 2 forms to review or 1 form to review. That's where you're going to find it. Okay, and I would do that sooner rather than later. I think it's $10 for the whole year, and we use that money to contribute to each class to help them generate their senior class gift at the end, when they graduate. Okay, so it's not like we're just, filing it away for, parties or whatever. Okay, it's going to those senior gifts later on, but I'd recommend doing it as soon as you can. Check it out tomorrow, right? Because you don't want to be the parent that forgets, and then their kids all dressed in the morning for out of uniform. And you remembered you didn't pay it? because the form does close the first week of September. Okay, so go ahead and get on there, pay the $10, and you're good for the whole year. And then you don't have to be that guy that has like ruined your junior high kid's life. They survived. They're a senior. She's going to be okay. All right, a couple of other important pieces. You've got arrival and dismissal. And I can't say this enough. This conversation is for your own safety. Okay, we run a car line for all non-drivers. And I'm pretty sure all of our students in here are non-student drivers. Okay, so you all will be bringing them. Okay, and we do the drop-off and the pickup on a car line just outside of the Scott Center. Okay, we want to keep our student-faculty parking lot to students and to faculty. Okay, so there should not be drop-off or pickup in the student parking lot at our normal drop-off and arrival and dismissal times. And really, I think I've said this before, there's one big reason. It's 2 words: student drivers. You really don't want to be over there. Okay, they're learning, and sometimes it's not pretty. And when we drop off over there, it complicates things, right? So you might pull into a parking spot, but that ends up being a high schooler's parking spot, so then they take somebody else's parking spot, and they try to back out, and then it just gets ugly. Okay, so for your safety, for our student driver's safety, and also your student safety, please use the car line. Okay, we are going to also be kind of cutting off that exit back to 95. You know how you can kind of go through the parking lot on that far side? You won't have access to that in the mornings. Again, we're trying to really, make it a strong thing that our parking lot is for our drivers, okay, and not for drop-off. A couple of things to note, however. Our back gate opens pretty early in the morning. Okay, so you can come through on Business Center Drive. You can also access our car line in the mornings, first of all, through Pineda. However, the gate right here that connects the Pineda to the car line closes at 7:45. And the reason for that is that's when most of our students drivers start arriving. Okay, and the less congested we can make that, the better off we are. So if you're coming down Pineda and it's after 7:45, you're going to have to go around, which I know is a big pain, especially if you're on your way to work and you're going US 1 anyway. I totally and 100% understand, but we're trying to maintain that safety for our students and for y'all as well. Okay, in the afternoon, the back gate opens at 2:30, and this front gate opens at 2:55. Okay, and we just run it. When we're pretty efficient, usually our the bell rings at 2:55. We usually have all the cars through there about 3:10, sometimes 3:15. Okay, so it moves pretty quick. Okay, in terms of our cell phone policy, I talked to y'all students about this a lot. Yes, they can bring their phones to school. However, they will not have access to them in class. Okay, we have cell phone pockets and a space for them to put their cell phone every day. Okay, and we kind of been around the block long enough to where we know their tricks. Okay, so if they're like, I don't have a cell phone, then you're probably going to get an email from me or from Mr. Wilson just verifying that. Okay, and it's just a collective kind of concern to make sure that we're all on the same page. Okay, and we just encourage you to understand that your kids will not have access to their phones during much of the day. During breaks and during lunch, yes, but if you need to get in touch with them, all right, please contact me, contact Mr. Wilson, the front office, and we'll get that message to them. Okay, and then a lot of times if they want to call you, just come into my office. We totally understand that sometimes they just need to talk to mom, okay, or they need to talk to dad, and we can make that happen. We just don't want it happening in the middle of class. Okay, with regards to attendance, a couple of things to note in here is that we've made some updates to our attendance policy, which really won't matter to y'all because y'all are going straight into it of what it is. But our job is to educate your students, and in order to educate them, they need to be in their seats. Okay, and so our attendance policy is pretty laid out in our family handbook, which, by the way, you can have access to the family handbook on campus, 22-23 family handbook. And if you've already read through it once and you're just looking to spot check things, Control F, and then you can search anything you want. Right? Attendance. Oh, okay, there it is. All right, but one of the things we're doing is we're going to have a schedule that goes 1 through 7 this year. Okay, so periods 1 through 7. We used to rotate the afternoon classes. We're not going to be doing that anymore. Okay, so for things like dentist appointments and doctor's appointments, okay, just understand they're going to miss 7th period or maybe, first period or maybe arranging it during lunch, all of those things. But if you do, you can get a doctor's note and then bring it to us within a week and we'll keep it on file. Okay, and kind of just keeping track of those things. I don't anticipate any major issues with 7th grade attendance in general, but just we made some policy changes this year, so kind of wanted to draw your attention to that. Okay, uniforms. This is what the kids really want to know. Okay, we've made a couple updates to our previous policies, but and you're gonna have to wear a uniform on the first day. First day, wear a uniform. Okay, the blue or the white polo with khaki bottoms. The khakis can be pants, they can be shorts, they can be skirts. I will say that if your child is wearing skirts or a shorts, they can be no higher than 4 inches above the knee. And what I always tell the students is the knee doesn't start here. This is your thigh. The knee starts here. Let's say the top of the kneecap for easy reference. Okay, so it can be no more than 4 inches above the knee. Okay, but we'll be enforcing that, but your kids don't have to tuck their shirts in. Okay, so there's a little bit of kind of we're gonna be a little bit more intentional on one side, but we're gonna give them a little bit of leeway on the other side. But they do need to have their uniform the first day of school. They do not need their PE uniform the first day, however. Okay, in PE they're going to be spending the first day basically going through. Okay, here's your locker. Here's where it is. Here's what you put into it. All those things. They don't need their PE uniform that first day. Just their regular uniform. In terms of texts to y'all, we have something called Bright Arrow. Bright Arrow will send out emergency text as needed, and everyone's already been signed up. Okay, and when I say emergency text, you probably won't get one of these. I hope, right? But, for example, if we're having to shut the campus down due to a hurricane, you'll get the information through that emergency text that everybody's already signed up for. We also have reminder texts that you can opt in for. Okay, you'll just have to text yes to 87569. All right, and then you'll get reminders about when we have Eucharist, when we have out of uniform days, when we have special events, like that type of thing. Okay, during Spirit Week, it'll be like, okay, don't forget, Monday is this, or Monday is, college day, or whatnot. Okay, but that's optional for you to sign up for, but I will tell you that is extremely helpful. All right, because I try my best, but I'm the parent that I pull in and I look over and my kid's wearing the rounding outfit, and I'm like, oh. But then I remind myself, you're in 9th grade, that's your job. Okay, that's how I help myself get past that. Couple of other just smaller details. Our library is open from 7:30 to 4. I tell you that because sometimes you've got to drop off a little early and you might have to pick up a little bit late. Our campus is open before and after that, but our library is open from 7:30 to 4. So if they want to charge their phones, if they want to study, if they just want to use that space to hang out, they can do so. They can also go down to what we call the huddle. Okay, the Tiger Athletic Complex is open Monday through Thursday to all students to play ping pong, to go to the concession stand, to study, and if you want to bypass car line, just pick up your kid out there at 3:30 and you won't have a car line, right? It's a really cool opportunity for the kids to kind of get down there and hang out after school, and maybe just kind of instead of, going straight into their homework, they get to hang out, they get to chill out a little bit. If you can't pick them up by 4, they are going to be directed back to this side of campus just for FYI logistics purposes. Okay, but you can pick them up out there up until 4 o'clock. And they're looking for a junior high parent to help out one of those days. So if you're interested and that sounds like something fun to work in the concession stand for the huddle 1 day a week, Meg Schweitzer is working the Tiger Athletic. She's selling Tiger Athletic gear in the gym. She's the person to talk to, okay, if you're interested in doing that. I'll talk about some more parent opportunities in a minute. We are serving lunch on the first day. If you ordered through on campus by August 1st, then for your student, then they will have lunch that first week of school. Okay, if you forgot or you want to make some changes, we are going to be opening it back up on the 17th, okay, for a couple of days to make any modifications. If your kid's like, I didn't really say I wanted chicken quesadilla, I wanted a cheese quesadilla. All right, then you can make that change at that point. But if you did order lunches by the 1st, okay, then they'll be here and you can, you don't have to pack a lunch. Otherwise, pack a lunch for whatever days you didn't order. If you forgot to order, pack a lunch until you can order. And just a reminder, we are a peanut-free school. Okay, we have quite a few, both faculty and students that have severe allergies. So we are a peanut-free school, so no peanut butter or peanut products. Okay, couple more. Promise, we're getting close to the end. Mr. Wilson, if you do meet up with your kid and they're like, oh, I thought I had this class and not that class, find Mr. Wilson. He is out there running around, or just drop him an email and he'll take care of it. If your child's schedule had highlight on it, like your name was highlighted, it just means that Nurse Emily needs to see you real quick. She's in the front office, and if you need to see her for any other reason, like dropping off medication or anything like that, she's in that front office on the door that comes from the car line entrance. As I mentioned, no PE clothes, and if you came in and you have, any of those extra supplies like the wipes or the Sharpies or all of the others that were on the supply list, and you want to drop those off today, first of all, thank you. And second of all, you can do that in my office or Mr. Wilson's office, which is in the junior high building. In that narrow hallway in the middle of the junior high building, you'll see those doors are open, and you can just drop the stuff. It doesn't have to be orderly or anything, well, just don't throw it on my computer or whatnot, but it doesn't have to be all fancy and organized. You can just add it to the piles that in theory are already there. And then one last thing that's very important to me, communication is my language. And I know that sounds stupid, all right? But in my mind, the more you know what's going on, the better equipped you are to help yourself and to help your student. Okay, every Friday as a school, we send out the Friday email, all right? And that tells you every single thing that's going on from pre-K through 12th grade. Okay, and we usually divide it by campus. Okay, so if you no longer have a lower school student, you can scroll all the way to the bottom and start getting to the high school stuff. Okay, but tons of information. But I also send out a junior high specific email every Friday. Okay, it's the junior high update. Okay, so I'm sorry, you're going to get 2 emails from Holy Trinity on every Friday, but what I try to do is pull out the things that are very specific to junior high students that junior high parents might want to start preparing for the next week. Okay, or sometimes even further ahead. All right, the more you guys know, the better off you are to be able to help your student make that transition into junior high and then eventually into high school. All right, we also communicate through on campus. We have on-campus messages, and you can set those up to where you get a text, okay, or even an email when you get an on-campus message if you're not going in all the time. Just please note that an on-campus message can really only be read if you're in on campus when you're logged in. Okay, so some teachers will communicate via email, some key teachers communicate through the on-campus messenger. Either one works, and the same for you. If you'd prefer on-campus message, go for it. If you prefer email, do that as well. And also on campus, you can access your week at a glance. Every single teacher has their plan for the week posted by Sunday night the week before. So if you're like, man, this is a busy week because my kid's playing on competitive soccer and they're also in the band and they're this, and this, okay, you can go on to each class and find out what's happening that week. And then you can sit down with your student and say, okay, let's look at this week, right? It doesn't look like you have much homework on Tuesday, but you got a ton on Wednesday. What do you think about trying to do some things on Tuesday? All of that you can basically find out from week at a glance. All your assignments, all the grades. We are going to be sending out in this Friday's family email kind of a quick reference and, like a cheat sheet, I guess, for on campus that'll have some screenshots about how to do those most important things. Okay, so it's not like on campus, what? Okay, so this will be the most important things that you need to know to help your students. Also, like I said, feel free to email teachers, feel free to email me, Mr. Wilson. We do suggest that if there's ever a concern, that your students start with the teacher. Okay, go to the teacher first because that interaction is where, the questions are coming from. Okay, if it's still of concern, then by all means, move it along to Mr. Wilson. Okay, and then beyond that, you'll just come talk to me. All right, both Mr. Wilson and I are very available to y'all, even if it's just, I have to say this. I don't expect anything to happen, but I need to say this. Y'all are parents, right? And y'all understand, that well, here, I should phrase that. I understand that your number one priority is your child. Okay, I get that. And I can't always maybe give you exactly what you're looking for in whatever conversation you're having, but I want you to feel comfortable coming to me and having that conversation, and let's see where we can talk and where we can meet in the middle, and maybe I can explain something, the perspective in a different way. Right? But we always suggest you start with the teachers, then Mr. Wilson, and then me. Okay? But you can email me any question. If I can't answer it right away, or if I'm like, have you talked to? Then we can go from there. Okay? And then one thing I do want to draw your attention to is something called the confidential button. This is available to the students and to the teacher or to the parents behind the login. So once you log into On Campus, in your parent resources, you'll see a button. It's called confidential button. This is for the big stuff, right? If you hear something that your student brings home or your student brings something to you and you're like, that doesn't sound quite right. That's what this confidential button's for. And it could be the big stuff, right? The really big stuff. But could it also be, there's an interaction happening between a couple of kids that, your student, they don't always want to be the rat, okay? They always don't want to be the tattletale, right? But if you're concerned about it and they're concerned about it, you can use the confidential button to let us know about it. Okay, I mean, it shouldn't be like so-and-so didn't sit next to me at the lunch table kind of thing. But if it's something that makes you feel uncomfortable, okay, by all means, reach out to me. Okay, if you so-and-so said that I could talk to you about this, but don't use their name, we can make it work. But if it completely, you don't want any association, then you can bring it to us in the confidential report and know that it will be handled to the best of our ability. Okay, so we wanted you to know that that is a resource and it's not just for the big stuff. Okay, because sometimes the little stuff that makes you uncomfortable, doesn't sit right, becomes the bigger stuff. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. We could be a team, right? But the communication is going to be really, 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 really important on all levels. Okay, and then I wanted to kind of give you kind of like a yay, but also a heads up. This campus was built over 20 years ago, okay? And I joked with your students that we really liked the color beige when we started this campus. I mean, everywhere you look was beige. But we're starting to change up some things. And so we repainted the campus over spring break last year and also renovated almost all of the classes in our 200 building. So if you get a chance, kind of take a peek in there. They're pretty amazing. All right, over the summer, we renovated all of the bathrooms, which I normally don't encourage you to take a look at the bathrooms because they're just bathrooms, but these look really good. So if you happen to be walking by, take a look because they look snazzy. I don't know, I was impressed by the bathrooms. And we also did some of our fine arts classrooms in the 300 building. But next up is the junior high building. Okay, so we will be renovating, at least that's our plan right now, we will be renovating the junior high classrooms this school year. And the reason I'm telling you is, first of all, yay, that is so cool. But B, it may be slightly disruptive to your students. Okay, we have other classrooms that are set up. So for a 4-week period, they may be shifted to a different classroom for one of their classes. Okay, and we've done it already with some of the older kids, and we were able to kind of find out the kinks and what works and what doesn't work. But just to give you a heads up, if they come home and they're like, I'm no longer in my classroom, it's not because there's a complete roach infestation or whatnot, but we're renovating everything. Okay, so, if you have questions, just ask, but did want to give you a little bit of a heads up on that. And then what we're hoping ultimately is to add a new academic building. We did the Tiger Athletic Complex a couple of years ago. We're hoping to do the same thing, but on the academic side. So you'll be hearing more about this in the next coming months. Kind of wanted to give you the heads up on both of those things. But it's an exciting time to be at Holy Trinity. It's an exciting time to be starting at Holy Trinity because your kids are going to be in the midst of this, right? And they're going to be experiencing these new things that we're bringing to them. But yeah, it might be a little bit disruptive, but I think we'll be all right. Advancement and kind of linked into that, they wanted us to kind of let you know who they were. Colleen Middlebrooks is our advancement director. And these are just opportunities for you to get involved. Okay, we have a lot of, here's what they say. They like to put the fun in fundraising. So you can support the school, but also do so in a fun way. The ladies bingo night, which is a lot of lower school stuff. The homecoming street party is just super fun. And that's just a way for us to say thank you and come have fun. And they have good food trucks. They do face painting. And then you get to go down to the homecoming game. Tons of fun. They also have their golf tournament coming up. And if you want more information on the golf tournament, there is a table set up in the gym. Also in the gym, and these are going to be really great ways for y'all to get involved. It is going to be a little weird, y'all. Okay, you went from elementary school, right? Homeroom, all those things. I can be the homeroom parent. I can help out with lunch. Well, we get into junior and senior high. Those opportunities for parents are going to be a little bit slimmer because we don't have homeroom parents. Okay, and Mrs. Malevich doesn't need a parent for every math class she teaches. Okay, so it changes a little bit. But we still have a lot of opportunities for y'all to get engaged and involved. Okay, and one of them is through our booster program. We have our athletic boosters, which supports our boosters. Okay, for athletics, excuse me. We have our music boosters, which supports our music program. And then we have our thespian boosters. Okay, and they provide meals before big events and before big concerts, during Tech Week, for all of those kinds of things. But they're representatives for all of those organizations, for music, for sports, and for thespians over in the gym. Okay, and then in the Tiger Cafe as well. I would highly encourage you, if your child has any interest in any of those three areas, is to head over there and engage with the people that are in charge and the parents that are running that. It's a great opportunity to get involved. We also have Tiger Team, which is a way for HT families to connect across all campuses. And our Tiger Team helps us with Teacher Appreciation Week. They help with open houses and special events like that, and really kind of helping to promote and to support HT. Okay, they also will have a representative over in the gym. And then from here, I'm done. Can you believe it? But in the gym, we've got like I said, we're selling PE uniforms, Tiger athletic gear. We've got all of our boosters, our Tiger Team signups. If you want to help with the huddle, information's over there. They're all in the gym. You might want to also swing by in the Tiger Cafe. There may be some of the boosters over there as well. And then you're going to find Nurse Emily in the front office, Mr. Wilson in the back. But most of your kids are going to be back by the junior high building in the library where we've got all the club and the sports signups. So if you want to talk to any of our club advisors or our athletic coaches, you can head back there. So I would suggest heading out this back and then kind of working your way through the Tiger Cafe and the gym, and then picking up your kids on the opposite end of campus near the library. If you have any questions, I'll be down here that you can ask them. But thank you so much for coming, and it's going to be a great year. I am so excited for the 22-23 school year. Your kids have already impressed me with our limited experience with them already, but it's going to be a good year. And let me know if you have any questions.